Ja, goeiedag. Welkom bij Wat de Zeeuw niet kent. Vandaag gaat ons kijken bij een Chinese Kongfu meester. Wing Chun Kongfu. Dus ik ben benieuwd.
好的 ，OK， 拉手，拉手，对，变吗？小两手，变吗？小两手。Oh, my name is Ronald. My students call me Sifu Ko because my surname is Ko.
Okay.
And my name is actually very weird because Ko was translated long before Mr. Mao, and so we use native translation, and but the proper Mandarin for Ko is Xu.
Xu. Oh, okay. Because Cantonese to.
No, this is Ko is actually Fujian.
Oh,
From Fujian.
Okay.
So they call it Ko. So you don't get a spelling anymore like that nowadays. So it's a Xu Shifu.
Xu Shifu.
Xu Shifu. That's my present Chinese name, but yeah.
And you're specialized in Wing Chun Kongfu, right?
Yes, I have been teaching Wing Chun Kongfu for 25 years now, more than about 14, 15 years in England, and the last, 12, 14 years in China.
Wow.
So I have been teaching Wing Chun for a long time, plus the time that I spent a long time learning because I was not very clever.
Don't say that. And how about, can you tell me about Wing Chun? Like the history and where it comes from?
Okay, Wing Chun has a very, very poetic beginning, like all the Chinese martial arts. So there's a lot of mysticism in it, a lot of intrigue, a lot of mysteries. And as a matter of fact, some people consider that, we can't fathom the beginning of Wing Chun.
Oh, so you don't know when it started actually?
So historically speaking, in the Western sense, where it's written down, is that there's no written record of the origin of Wing Chun.
Wow.
So like most of the Chinese martial art, it is carried on by the word of mouth.
So it's
generations and the generations of students, repeating the stories from the Sifu, from the teachers.
Do you also know like how many generations now that are known of for Wing Chun?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, I am the 7th generation from the original Wing Chun beginning.
Wow.
I'm not quite sure. I have to count them. I can count them, but I forgot the number as the number of generations. But I believe it's about 7. The history of Wing Chun is very nebulous. Okay, but according to legend, we consider that the origin of Wing Chun was created by a Buddhist nun.
Okay.
Called Een Wing. So a nun is a woman. Okay, so the story goes that she was studying Shaolin Kung Fu, but Shaolin Kung Fu is a very hard Kung Fu. So she had difficulty matching up with the big, strong, tall Shaolin monks, the male monks, in the monastery. So this nun, by chance, saw on a day's walk, saw a crane fighting a snake, and this crane, was using her wing to parry, all the strikes that the snakes was attacking her with. Okay, and then and she said, that's a good idea. Okay, that's the way to avoid a strike. Using this technique with the wing, that the bird was using. But of course, later on is that we also expanded that story a little bit and said, well, the bird also has a beak. Okay, so while parrying, the beak can be used as well. And while parrying, when you fight with the beak, is that the legs, the claw of the legs, can also be used as well. And so the whole body of the bird can be weaponized.
So for the Wing Chun, you use both your hands and your feet.
Absolutely right. Okay, Wing Chun is a very intelligent system. Sometimes it's referred to a conceptual system of martial art. Okay, and so it teaches the student here to be intelligent. Okay, so to be intelligent is that if you want to hit somebody, low, you don't start up hitting him low. Okay, you hit him high first to distract him, so that you can hit him low. You have distraction. Yeah, you have the strategy. You have the hypnotic effect. As your question, of asking whether the whole body can be used, absolutely it is. But Wing Chun is famous for its efficiency in using the hands.
Okay. This is normally more close combat.
Absolutely right. Okay. I will explain that in a little side paragraph afterwards. By popularity, it has been said that we do well, with the hands. And it is nothing unusual because most of the Southern Chinese martial art is very proficient with the hands. And whereas the Northern martial art is very proficient with the kicks.
Okay.
So you have the saying of Nam Kun Bắc Tui. I'm speaking in Cantonese, of course you don't understand. Okay. Oh, wait a minute, you should understand because your wife is from a place where Cantonese is spoken.
Cantonese, but the Cantonese never picked up. It's too difficult.
And anyway, the common saying is that Nam Kun Bắc Tui is southern fist and northern kicks. Okay. So the fist is favored in the south, and the use of the kick is favored in the north. So a lot of people know about Wing Chun being very very proficient with the hands, but what one must know is that we should be, as a martial artist, we should be very proficient with the kicks as well. And another point is that we cover ourselves with the kicks, unlike the high kicks that you see in karate and maybe in Shaolin Kongfu, is that most of our hands deal with problems above the waist. Okay. And then when it comes to the time for the kick, we deal with all the problems with below the waist with the kicks. And so,
how did you get into in the Wing Chun Kongfu? When did you start and where did you start?
Oh, that is a very diverted story because I think this is a very good for me for promotion as well. Is that in the mid-50s, I was learning a Southern Chinese Kung Fu called Mantis, Tang Lang. Okay. Tang Lang, this is for
like the insect.
Putonghua. It's for your Mandarin, but it is Tong Lang for Cantonese. Okay. So I was learning Southern Tong Lang, the Southern Tong Lang. And my sifu, my Qigong at the time, my sifu, my teacher's teacher was the very, very famous Hong Kong Southern Mantis sifu called Yip Sui. Yip Sui, okay? And for us is that his hometown is not very far from here. He's from Muyun, it's very near here.
Okay, so it's from this area. So
yes,
it's quite away.
And then therefore, very frequently, the martial art is called Donggang, Zhao Ga Tong Lang. It's a Donggang, it's a river, Dongjiang. It's a river very near us here, okay? And Zhao Ga is a Zhao family, Tong Lang is the Mantis.
Okay.
So it's a very famous Southern Chinese martial art taught in Hong Kong at the time. So, and it was supposed to be very proficient, like Wing Chun was very proficient today. Okay. So I was doing doing Mantis in the mid-50s, and then I have a friend, and a naughty friend, and called Bruce Lee.
Really?
And then he was in my school and has been a friend of mine since 1950 when we studied in a school called LaSalle College. And and in the mid-50s, while I was doing Tang Lang, he was starting to learn Wing Chun from Ip Man.
Wow, often Ip Man was very famous.
Yes, at that time, not many people know Ip Man, and neither do people know what is Wing Chun. They hear the name Wing Chun, but they don't know how it's done. Okay, so but Bruce Lee has been practicing Wing Chun at the time, and he has been inviting challenges from other martial arts, and therefore from that time on, it was him who brought the fame of Wing Chun to Hong Kong, and then eventually to the world, and that's history.
Wow.
So, but at that time in the mid-50s, I was doing Hong Kong. He was a friend of mine, and he wanted to find out how good his martial art was against my martial art.
Yeah, you want to combine like different elements?
No. This was a challenge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wing Chun is better
Yes,
than...
exactly.
Then
So
the
he
men's
learned
martial
Wing Chun. Wing Chun was his mother martial art, the first proper martial art that he ever learned.
Because later, Bruce Lee combined different martial arts, right?
Yes, but that is a later time. This is post 1960 virtually. Okay, so it was quite a long time after that. Okay, but you know, at that time he was learning it, and it was something new. It was something new, and he wants to know that it works. So he challenged me, and he challenged other martial arts as well.
Did you fight Bruce Lee?
Yes, I did.
Oh wow, unbelievable.
So you know, he was trying to find out, you know, what it was like for Wing Chun to be fighting against another martial art. In my case, against mentors, against Tong Lao.
Okay, I have one last question.
Yes.
But why people should practice Wing Chun?
Oh, well, actually, it should be a very simple answer, because Wing Chun is a traditional Chinese martial art. It was created some 350 years ago, so it is still considered as a traditional Chinese martial art.
So you practice it for tradition?
It is a practice, first of all, for me, is that anyone who practices martial art must practice it for the intention of martial, which is for meaning fighting. Okay? If you don't have any skill for fighting, you're not learning anything martial. So martial means fighting. If it's a martial art, it's for fighting. So the first consideration for any martial art is to be able to fight with it. It doesn't matter whether you lose fighting with it, but at least you must have the skill of fighting and meeting the challenge.
So there's both for attacking and defense.
Absolutely right. That's fighting. When you fight, you have to attack and you have to defend. Okay, you must have the skill for doing that. Okay. So it's a martial art. Wing Chun is a martial art, which means that the first consideration is for fighting. You must be able to know how to use it in martial art. Okay. The second thing is that, you know, it's a culture of China. So, you know, all the Chinese martial arts have a quality, you know, of improving the health of the body. When you practice martial art, you know, you exercise the sinew of the body, you know, your bones, your joints, your muscles.
So it's also very important.
And it is extremely good for health. But for Chinese, as far as that is concerned, for health partner, for Chinese, that's a very important part of Chinese philosophy. It's called longevity. Longevity means long life.
I want to ask you, how young are you?
Don't ask the question. Okay,
an estimate maybe.
So you know, if you have heard my story about me and Bruce Lee, you should work it out. You know how old I am.
That's unbelievable.
But the thing is that I always consider myself as a young man, and you know, tomorrow is another day. So yeah, there's no end. There's no end to life. Okay, the end of life is what you make it to be. Okay, you can make it long, you can make it short. So I would like to stay young and make my life long, and hence I comply with the Chinese philosophy of longevity. I want to live a long life.
Dat was echt super vet. Die knakker is echt super sterk ook. Als je klap van hem krijgt, dat doet best wel pijn. Maar hij is ook al redelijk oud. Dus ik weet niet hoe oud hij precies is, maar gaat wel richting de 80. Ik zie jullie de volgende keer. Hoi hoi.